What up, though? If you made it this far, then you've probably been tricked into listening to the Lions Main podcast. Remember, this is a podcast run by fans for the fans. So the number one way for us to discuss the topics that you want to hear talked about is to send us a tweet on X or comment on any of our fan-led posts. This is the first ever episode. So most importantly, thank you for your support, and we hope that you enjoy.
This is the Lions Main Podcast.
Good morning, good afternoon, good whatever, only to the Detroit Lions fans, because that's what we really only care about. Right, guys? Right? Yeah.
Correct.
That's what I'm thinking. Correct. So today's topics, guys, we're going to be talking about, we're going to talk through some fan-led topics like we always do. And today's main segment is going to be focused on offensive positions overview. Before we get into each of the offensive positions, let's go ahead and do a little bit of introductions. Jim, how you doing?
Doing well. My wife is making some seafood risotto right now, so I'm about to get fat and happy, and probably smell like a fish market in Bangkok. So doing well.
Seafood risotto. That's how I know you're fucking rich.
Well, hey, look, man, I'm rich, but also I don't know about rich, but also have a wife who likes to make good food and buy expensive food. So I'll probably be pouring about 5 years, but I'll be eating well the whole time.
Well, that's a good problem to have. How about you, George? How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm chilling. Weather's great over here. Nice and hot. Summer.
I see that you went to like a bakery this past weekend. How was that?
I did this Friday. Got myself a special little treat. Went to Sheila's Bakery, which is like a Mexican bakery. I think it's Mexican town, but it's more like the southwest side of Detroit. I think it's beyond it, technically. It was great. I mean, I got tres leches and a couple other treats that I don't know the names of.
Treating yourself. Holy shit. Okay.
Huge treat guy.
It's Friday. You got to on Friday. You got to treat yourself. It was a sweet spot. It was, I was out of my element, but come on. They had tons of stuff there. Everybody was super cool. Most of them spoke only Spanish, but as soon as they realized I didn't speak Spanish, they helped me.
How many words in Spanish?
I know some. I have no idea.
Well, you know, tres leches.
Tres leches, yeah.
3
milks, 3 creams. Easy
Sounds a
peasy.
lot like one of your Friday nights, but anyways.
Nasty.
Jeez.
Yeah,
that's our George, though. That's our George. So getting into the main segment, things that we actually want to talk about, the things that the real fans want to hear is, so the biggest thing is I'm looking at the receiver depth chart, right? And so we got our 1, Amon-Ra, 2, Jameson, 3, our Khalif, maybe Donovan Peoples-Jones. I kind of just want to give a shout out to DPJ, Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's only 25. Detroit kid. And you know we love to see Detroit kids come back and do well. So he's a proven starter too. Like when he was on the Browns, he wasn't just a schmuck. Dude was like the number 2 receiver and legit out there. So I'm kind of interested in seeing him fulfill that number 3 position role. What are you guys' thoughts on that?
Lead her off, Mr. Cream.
I think he'll be sweet. I mean, he's a different type of player than Khalif Raymond. I think they'll both be useful, and I think Ben Johnson will scheme it together pretty nice because they're like different types of receivers. So I think, he'll be a great addition, and it'll really, based on his performance, will determine whether or not we get, a new wide receiver, mid-season or something. Somebody to replace who we lost. Reynolds. That's kind of where I'm at. So hopefully they just ball out and we show that we don't need anybody else.
Yeah. And I think you bring up the part about Reynolds. I think, Jim, that you always say that you think Reynolds was a lot better than people give him credit for.
100%.
Yeah.
Look, I think that's going to be, I'm still confident that the receiver room will be a huge asset for the Lions. I think, as long as Jameson Williams even takes a step forward, he doesn't necessarily need to live up to the number 12 pick, but if he can play at the level of a quality number 2, he'll step in, he'll be a great player. And Khalif Raymond, I think, is underrated. And I think DPJ and even Antoine Green and a couple of the other young guys have a chance to kind of flash a little bit. But look, Josh Reynolds and Jared Goff had extreme chemistry I think people are colored by that, by the NFC Championship game where he made a couple crucial drops, which was, to be candid, unlike him. That was something you'd expect out of early season Jameson Williams, or maybe a younger guy, not a guy who has a ton of chemistry with Jared Goff. And there was at least 4 or 5 instances last season where, Reynolds had a huge catch for a first down, clutch moment. It always felt like Goff, if he wasn't going to Amon-Ra, he always could find Josh Reynolds. So I think it's going to be tough to start the year. I think, unless J-Mo comes out of the gates flying, or maybe, one of the other guys, DPJ, I think they're going to miss that kind of outside threat. He's not like a top of the league type of outside guy, like a true X receiver that you can rely on. However, for a team that has an elite slot guy like Amon-Ra, Josh Reynolds was a great compliment out there. So I think, he's not going to be replaced 1 for 1, but I think we can be better as a receiver group if J-Mo takes a step forward and DPJ plays like he did in Cleveland, to your point.
I mean, I think a lot of people just have a sour taste in their mouth after the NFC Championship game, which is unfortunate, but I think it'll be all right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, I just wanted to start off receiver because it's kind of in my mind, it's the position I'm most scared of. I think it's our least deep. I mean, outside of Amon-Ra and Jameson, and if you can even say that Jameson's like my favorite player, but if you can even say that he's proven, I think you'd be stretching the truth right there. So just want to start with that. The next group I want to talk about is, I think, probably gets the most buzz around the NFL. Arguably this position group, it's the running back position. You hear all the time nonstop about how Gibbs is next up if he's not already here. Gibbs is phenomenal, and I have, as a Lions fan, seeing that kid on my team brings tears to my fucking eyes. But but people are sleeping on fucking Monty, bro. Seriously, I think I had the stats up earlier, but I think PFF gives us the 9th overall running back. Okay, interesting. They had fucking Monty at like 24 or 25, something fucking ridiculous.
Gibbs was 9th?
Dude.
Dude. I guess, yards, he's got less than Monty, and he's kind of deep on that list, but, he's splitting it with Monty at the end of the day. So I think it isn't, but like, as you said, don't sleep on Monty is correct, because he has more yards, he's splitting time, and he was injured. Gibbs was a rookie, too, to his credit. So, he showed out, but Monty was hurt, too. So, don't sleep on him, like you said.
Yeah. Monty's the workhorse of that offense, dude.
He is. Look, Gibbs is awesome, and I think Gibbs is going to continue to evolve and kind of challenge for that top running back role as soon as McCaffrey, has his downfall eventually. But, I think Monty, he's underrated, number one, because he was on a bad Bears team for a couple of years, and there was really nothing going on there. And then the second time, as soon as he gets off of that bad team, he has to share a backfield with a super exciting player who's dynamic. But, he's also not like a true speedster. So a lot of people aren't, he's not the shiny toy. But if you look at what he did last season, he's constantly breaking tackles. He's constantly turning forward. I feel like there's so few times where he gets hit and just taken down. And look, he's not like a true speedster, but he had a couple long touchdowns where he was elusive and ran around people and ran through people. I think we're so lucky to have both of these guys, and so lucky to have someone that when, Gibbs was still figuring it out at the beginning of the year. He wasn't a full player, and Monty stepped up and went crazy. I remember watching that Chiefs game and being like, I knew he was going to be good, but I didn't know he was going to be a beast. He's a beast. And
he's so fast.
He's fast and thick as hell. I'm talking about Monty, but Gibbs too, Gibbs is not like, he's a fast guy, but he's not like, he doesn't get taken down easy. He's not like one of those players that's really lightning fast, but as soon as you get your hands on him, he's going down. He bounces off tackles. He really makes the most of his contact. If I can count on my hand, if any times where he truly got blown up or just completely taken down. Almost every time he's getting hit in the open field, he's punishing the opposing player, and Monty does the same thing. So not only do we have a talented running back room, we have a mean running back room. Craig Reynolds, the block against Tampa Bay stands alone as probably one of my favorite moments of the season. So even our third string and now, fourth string with Sione Vaki running backs are all just a bunch of hard-hitting, hard-running guys.
They all got grit, man.
They do. They do.
They all got
They
that
do.
grit, baby. You know what the best job in the world must be? Ben Johnson, dude. Can you imagine
Okay.
having all these weapons, a receiver and in the backfield? Can you imagine? I'd be a
look,
billionaire. Oh, yeah,
people say he's good, and he is. I really, really, I'm so happy he's back, and he is probably one of the best at what he does in the league. And it kind of fell into our laps, but it doesn't hurt when you have absolute studs around you, and he's got studs all up and down the offensive roster. Again, going back to the receiver, he's got who I think at this point it would be wrong to not put him at least in the top 6 wide receivers in the league. I think there's only a few people who are definitively better, and I think our running back room, I'd put Gibbs closer to top 5 and Monty closer to top 15. And then, not to put the cart before the horse, but Laporta's already a top 3-4 tight end. So when you've got a room like that, I feel like you can be a lot more creative and kind of fully unlock the potential. It's, people, I think you see this with like the Patriots dynasty. People try to say Brady or Belichick was better, but when 2 good people are together, or 2 good forces are together, it's a force multiplier.
I agree. And I think you brought up the next topic that we want to talk about. I think at the tight end, what is it called? What did the tight ends fucking do? It's like the tight end camp. You know what I do every year?
Tight end,
yeah.
Tight end U. Travis Kelce was asked by one of the reporters there which tight end he thought was the best in the league this year. And his quote
there, yeah. He said Laporta.
His quote was, Laporta had a fucking year, dude.
Mm-hmm.
That's freaking Taylor Swift's boyfriend saying that. So I mean, that's giving a lot of credit there. So I think, he's super, super young, but when you take in blocking ability, how smart he is, how strong he is, how tough he is, dude. Laporta, if he's not, he's got to be top 3, dude.
Oh yeah. I mean,
playing through injury too. Didn't he have like a knee bruise?
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
dude,
he was on all sorts of
monster. Dude, he got hit like, jeez. He got hit like we were hitting people. Shout out Kirby Joseph. Shout out Kirby Joseph.
I thought you meant us literally. I was like, I don't think I've ever hit anybody. I think maybe you, but I don't know. But yeah, no. The thing about him, and I think you guys would both agree with this, he's slippery but also tough. He's like a weird combo. To me, and this is not disrespect to Travis Kelce, he's a Travis Kelce who's a better blocker. He's not quite the polished, he's not as polished as Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce at his prime is competing for the best tight end ever. But I think Laporta's got the skill set to get there. And when I go back to draft night, he's a big boy. And I mean, he can block, he can hit.
6'3", 240.
I mean, look, I think what was interesting on draft night is I remember being so mad because I was like, I was thinking, we can take a tight end. This is supposed to be a super deep tight end draft. We can get a great guy in like the 3rd, 4th round, or we should have drafted someone else. I just I remember I put too much credence in all the pre-draft shit. Of course, he comes out as by far the best rookie tight end, makes all the other rookie tight ends, including Michael Mayer, who people said was like the most pro-ready stud prospect in years. He came out and just looked better. And Kyle Pitts, who was drafted in the top 5, he's been better than Kyle Pitts. He's had a better situation, but he's straight up been better. It's an anomaly to see a tight end be that good.
Laporta had more touchdowns in that last season than Kyle Pitts had in his entire career. And that's coming from a guy who, for whatever fucking reason, draft Kyle Pitts in every fantasy league every single year.
This is
You do that?
Dude, because every year. Look, Jim's probably reading the news right now. That's probably why I brought his name up. Every year. Kyle Pitts, they're going to win a receiver this year, tight end every year. And so I draft him probably about 2 more rounds earlier than he fucking should.
You read too much, bro. That guy blows. He's terrible.
Yeah, dude.
Act like you watched the game before. Come on.
Yeah, I mean,
honestly, you're fucking right. Talking about best tight ends in the league, who would you guys take if you guys could redo it for next year? Would you take Hawkinson or Laporta?
Laporta, instantly, without hesitation.
Hands down?
Younger did better. Hawkinson, he jumps up for that ball, puts that big body on the line too often. He's going to get hurt too often. Laporta, he overextended his knee. That's brutal, but that wasn't because he's fucking jumping up like a madman like Hawkinson is. He's too thick to be doing that shit.
Hawkinson's making some crazy ass fucking catches, bro. You don't want your dude
sick, but at what expense?
Right.
Injuries every single year.
True.
At what price, too? It's expensive.
I'm just playing devil's advocate, my man.
I know.
He did say for one season. He did say for one season, but I still think it's Laporta because of your point, George. Buddy's always injured, and particularly now he's got that tearing ACL is a pretty brutal injury. Yeah. It's tough to come back from it. Whatever Laporta did, just take a couple months off, let that shit heal. But I'd be a little worried if I was the Vikings.
Hawkinson. We'll take that other
guy back. I take him. Oh, I thought you meant a second backup tight end. Hey, if he wants to come be a backup tight end for a couple million a year, I'll take him.
Yeah, dude, Buddy can come ride the bench. We'll take him. We'll turn him into Zach Ertz. We can do that.
Easy, simple.
Which was
simple.
Sweet.
That'd be the best tight end off the bench in the history of the NFL.
I like Brock Wright, though. I like Brock Wright.
We'd be running 2 tight end sets every fucking play.
100%.
2 running back, 2 tight end sets. Take it back to the Little League.
George, you brought up a good point. Brock Wright is he is
just a beast.
The ultimate glue guy player. Not in terms of I have no clue what the locker room's like. I've obviously never been there, but in terms of what brings the team together, he is another guy like Josh Reynolds. Not quite as big of a deal as Josh Reynolds, but he had so many plays the past couple seasons where it's what the hell? Why is that guy making this huge play at the end of the game to win us the game or lock this game down? He is just he somehow is in the right place at the right time, way more often than you should have for a backup kind of tight end who's primarily a blocking tight end.
Right. When San Francisco
49ers were trying to take him.
when they offered him that deal, I was like, please, God, no, don't go there. Not there. Anywhere but there. And then we matched it, and I was like, and he stayed. I was like, thank fuck. I like him.
Yeah.
And he's got a screw loose, too. I've seen him in those interviews. He seems like a fucking strange guy, which I think results in a good player. But good God, I'm glad to have him. Yeah, you need a couple freaks. What he's like normally, but those interviews, he seems like a fucking strange guy.
Yeah, you need some kneecap biters, so we'll take him.
Yeah, he's got crazy eyes.
It seems pretty clearly, and we always talk about the O-line, offline, and whatnot, but it seems pretty clearly, unanimously across the league that our O-line is considered the number 1 in the league. So the only fear that I do have is that it doesn't seem very deep. We only seem about 1 person deep at each position, maybe 1, 2 at maybe a second guy deep at another position. What are you guys' thoughts on the depth of our O-line, or if you guys think we're healthy enough to, maintain that title as the number 1 O-line in the league?
Yeah, no, I think you hit the nail on the head there. I think the issue we had last season over a couple games was when Frank Ragnow was out. I think when Jonah Jackson was out, there were some rough games where Sorsdahl or Awasika just didn't play very well. But, they're depth guards. That's fine. But I think a couple years ago when we had Evan Brown on that line and we have 5 quality starters, that was such an ideal situation, which, I think they were able to have because they had to sacrifice the other positions. I think one of the things that I like that Brad Holmes did this offseason, and you've touched on this a couple of times, Kane, is Jonah Jackson, great player, always injured, and not old, but also not super young. And Kevin Zeitler bringing him in for 1 year to kind of bridge that gap until you can invest more in that next offseason, I hope, in the draft, is the future. Because, look, at the end of the day, it's the engine that makes everything go. The running backs look way better. Laporte is able to get looks. Amon-Ra is able to have the time for Goff to throw him the ball. And so, yeah, my biggest fear is someone like a Ragnow being down for, 8 weeks. And thank God we have Graham Glasgow who can play center, but then who slots in next to him at guard? And then if Zeitler, who's an old guy, he's had great availability, but he's 35. So if he gets hurt and, now we're down 2 offensive linemen, especially in that interior, I love Goff, and he can make great throws under pressure. He also he's not afraid of pressure per se, but he also often gets troubled by pressure. So if that pressure's coming up the middle, particularly, I think he gets kind of, what's the right way to put it? He just kind of freaks out a little bit. So
Buddy turns into Bambi. Deer in the headlights.
He does. And dude, I swear most of his turnovers, he has some picks and whatnot, and that's always going to happen. But his most frustrating turnovers, the only time I've ever truly frustrated with Goff is when he's running with that ball out randomly, and he always has the most unathletic fumbles. I love Goff. I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but his fumbles look like shit that I would do if I was playing in the NFL. He looks just like a taller, more handsome version of me when he's fumbling that football. So I would love if we could somehow get, an older guy who has a lot of skill, but maybe doesn't have the want to be a starter. We don't want, he doesn't have to buy to be a week in, week out starter. We could have one veteran guy who could come in and be just an average backup like guard. Because I think what's that huge fucker's name? The guy that Skipper. I mean, he's a solid swing tackle. He's a solid swing tackle. He's a gargantuan mammoth, absolute fuck. But
he's starting in the NFL.
I think he is. Height-wise. Oh, he's like 6'10" or some shit. Which, excuse my language, but I mean, what the hell?
Freakazoid
Of nature. So yeah,
he's tall as hell.
So what you're basically saying is we need a Graham Glasgow to come along, who's not going to start and be on the bench. Like
honestly, we need like someone who's like a step down from Zeitler, like another 1 year rental. And then I am not going to criticize Brad Holmes at all because he's a masterclass in transforming this roster. But one of my only asks, and why the hell would he care what I ask? But one of my asks for next offseason is in the draft, within the first 3 rounds, take an interior offensive lineman. Please do it. Please. If not two. All we need at this point on this roster is, I think, one more defensive end, maybe a receiver, and a guard. And if we got those 3, it'd literally be like the Avengers plus Thanos.
Avengers plus Thanos. I like that.
I mean, what the hell?
George, you agree with that? You want us to draft some old linemen?
I do want us to draft some old linemen. My question is, when? First round next draft?
Perhaps.
What do you think? What do you think, Dan?
First round's a little early. I think with guards, like, unless it's a once-in-a-generation prospect, and granted, well, the Lions will be picking 32nd, so that's basically a second-round pick. But, it depends on where we're drafting. If we're towards the end of the first round, I don't hate it. Right. The price is right. But I also think, like, the draft is so far.
What else would we draft? Okay, let's say team is as perfect as it is right now.
Super Bowl team? Who would I draft? What position? I think it's got to be guard.
It is right now.
It's got to be guard defensive end. Because receivers is important. I think we need to add like a third solid receiver if Khalif or DPJ doesn't step up and Jalen doesn't pan. Like that's important. But we also have great running backs that can catch the ball.
If like one of the top receiver prospects drops somehow down to 30,
sure. But I really don't care that much about that. I think the approach to kind of committee that second defensive end position might work, might not. And I also think a lot of times those defensive ends at the end of the first round are usually projects or like guys that are going to be solid but not necessarily amazing. So I'd rather honestly just keep trying the committee approach there. I think the offensive line is what makes it all good. Like I said, what the hell are we going to do if we have a dog shit O-line and Goff gets sacked in the backfield, can't throw the ball around, God forbid gets hurt, and we don't know. Hendon Hooker could be. Go ahead, sorry.
Very good, dude. I completely agree with you. Seriously. Like genuinely, I agree. Listen, dude, back in my high school day, I played safety, defensive guy. I want us to go ahead and prove that offense can win championships, man. Mm-hmm. So in order to do that, we got to stack this fucking O-line, right? Bring in the vet, go draft a young guy. I completely agree with you. Mm-hmm. And then you're about to bring up another good point, and this is our last point talking about the position groups, is the quarterback. Jared Goff, yeah, one of the best quarterbacks in the league. Anybody who argues against that, show him stats last year. Dude was top 3, top 4 in every quarterback passing stat last year. The other thing you want to talk about was Hendon Hooker. Do you think that, how do we even know if he's going to be quality enough backup? Like, God forbid, right? Goff sees pressure up the middle, something bad happens, knock on wood. Let's pray that doesn't fucking happen. But Hendon Hooker comes in. Are we running for the fucking hills? Are we going, oh, buddy, just don't throw a pick six? Oh, what do we think we can win a game with Hendon Hooker?
No clue.
I think we'll find out. What this preseason games, what he plays like. He could be sweet. And it would be cool if Ben Johnson could dial something up with him every so often. If he's like a true talent, like I think he could be. But God forbid something happened to Goff. He's good enough for Detroit, so he's got.
Just say you like him, man.
I like him.
Hot take. I think he's dog shit. No. I think there's no way to know. He's one of those guys that he's deceptively old, and so you hope that if it's not this year, it's next year that you feel really comfortable about him being the backup, and hopefully he comes out in the preseason and slings the hell out of the ball, and hopefully by week 18 we've got the number one spot locked up or the number 2 spot locked up, and he can come in and play and at least have a solid outing. Because I think otherwise, you really do have to go out and get another Teddy Bridgewater. I'm a lot more nervous than I was last year. If Teddy came in, I feel like he could have, gotten us even through a playoff game, depending on the opponent. Not that Rams game, but I think he could have handled the Buccaneers. If Hendon Hooker had to play the Packers or the Buccaneers, even the Buccaneers, I just don't even know what he would do. I have no clue if he'd be
right
tearing them up or if he'd be straight booty cheeks. No way to know.
It'd be cool to see how he reacts under pressure. Because, I mean, that's what Goff suffered with. And Hendon Hooker didn't look like he suffered with Pet in college. So
Goff slander?
Not Goff slander. No, I'm just reiterating what you said earlier. You guys are talking about the O-line. I mean, prejudice.
He is a Lamar stan, so he thinks Lamar is the best quarterback in the league.
Oh, that's right. That's
great.
right.
He is great.
That's right.
But if we had to, but listen,
you're
if
crazy.
we had to rank that NFC quarterbacks, the NFC North quarterbacks, this is the only correct ranking. I'm just gonna say it out there right now, in case anybody on the socials wants to comment on it, or if you guys want to say something against it. You guys would be wrong. So it's gonna be Jared Goff, number 1. That's pretty obvious, correct? J.J. McCarthy is clearly the second best quarterback in the NFC North. I mean, dude's a national champion.
You saw that was going.
Yeah.
Then we got Nails. And then we got Jordan Love. Nails and Jordan Love can be flipped, but
I like the Nails thing. If anything, makes me like him more.
Oh, no.
I don't like that guy, but I don't know if it's
bad guy. Bad guy. We gotta hurt those guys.
He also plays for the Bears. I wish him the worst.
That's my thing. I feel like if he went to another team, I'd be curious to see how he developed. But the Bears fans, like, I realize each year, like, I try to, like, I'm like, oh, the Packers fans aren't that bad. The Bears fans aren't that bad. It's the Vikings that are bad. All 3 of those fan bases are just absolutely atrocious. And the Caleb Williams, slurping is out of control. It's out of control. Buddy, the Bears slurping is out of control. We have the best offense in the NFC North. That's insane.
Yeah. They sign all those free agents. We'll see.
Right. I mean, look, Keenan Allen, he's a great receiver. He's on the wrong side of 30. I'm just going to say that. Caleb Williams, great with improvising. People do, he had a bad defense at USC. He took a step back. He went from Heisman to all right, I'm not going to pretend that he's not like a generational talent, but the idea that he's, I don't know. I just don't. I don't like the Bears.
Dude's the most overrated quarterback coming out of college of all time. All time.
He struggles with the ball.
I can see it.
It's like one of the leading quarterbacks in fumbles, correct?
Buddy, that old line is going to get chopped and fucking screwed against Detroit.
I'd pray.
They're going to struggle. They're going to struggle.
They're going to play the blame game.
But to the same credit, to counter what you said earlier, JJ is going to get pretzeled by Aiden Hutchinson, bro. What are you talking about?
He's going to look like a cartoon character that got squished between 2 anvils.
He might. But he's got some speed, though. I mean, they're definitely going to lose the lines.
He's going to do some goofy rookie shit. Do you think he's actually going to be good?
I don't think he'll be bad. I don't think he'll be good. I think they'll go 7-10, 6-11.
Yeah, I could see 6-11.
He is athletic as fuck, like, seriously, and does have, like, he didn't throw the ball very much because obviously Michigan just, for whatever fucking reason, decided to pound it. Even you're playing the number 1 running defense in college, and they're like, "Wow, we're gonna run the ball every play." It's just, I don't understand that approach to shit, but that's just how they operated last year. So, I mean, we knew the plays, so we're gonna win. Doesn't matter. I don't think I've saw, and honestly, disappointing. I want Michigan State. I'd like when they're like decent at least. I don't think I've saw a worse Michigan State team in my life.
Yeah, well, someone was too busy.
The score.
Someone was too busy with the motion on the phone.
The score between Ohio State, Michigan State, Michigan. Wait, Ohio State, Michigan State, and Michigan State. Like the combined score was like 107-3 or something.
It was something honestly the only time in my life where I've ever contemplated just not only abandoning a fandom, but like writing off an entire organization I was a part of.
You never thought about abandoning the Detroit Lions?
No. Not once. I'm not gonna name who did. I'm not gonna name who took a trip to the Pacific Northwest for a little bit, but you know, uh, over on this side, we ride or die. I watched, unfortunately, 90% of the 0-16 season. The only time I didn't watch it was blacked out on TV, which was dumb. I wasted a year.
When I watched that fucker, Justin Tucker, kick that 60-yard field goal, 63-yarder, and people tell me Lamar was good, my bones shook to my core. Literally tears in my eyes. There's another game we lost that season that was just like,
trying to remember.
That season
There was something horrible.
So that season and the next season when we started 1-6, through both of those seasons, I was so overall positive on the Lions because they were losing in the most ludicrous goddamn ways possible. There was a couple stinkers in there, but like 80% of the losses were like just jaw-droppingly impossible.
Jim's gonna read. What do you got for us? You can read us some of these wacko comments, huh?
There's two things I want to talk about. One, which is there's a guy on the line. Well, I assume a guy on the Lions subreddit who is continually making references to jacking off and just out of excitement. His most recent post was in reference to, so sometimes on Reddit you see XYZ player. It's the off season, and everyone's always like, XYZ players playing better. This one in particular is about Jack Campbell. So, Buddy said, and I quote, "Sigh, zips pants. I can't take much more of this." And his name is Hard for Lions Super Bowl. I'm sorry if I just doxed you, buddy. But this guy is constantly making masturbation references to Lions players. So first of all, that's great. Want more of that on Reddit.
What a freak. What a Lions fan freak. We love it.
Read some of his posts. Do we have them?
Well, I got to get it back up. No, I didn't pull all of them up because candidly, I felt a little odd reading through a lot of masturbatory comments. And to be fair, it's not just him. If you go on any post about like a good player playing good or improving, there's someone talking about jacking off or being willing to have sex with the player.
About?
Look, man, Reddit's a fun place. You got to get on Reddit.
I said Reddit's the new Twitter, man.
It is. It's better Twitter. Because you can say what you want without anybody knowing what you're saying. I have a whole second life on it.
You don't put your name on there?
No. Come on, pal. Actually, I did have my first username was my last name and my birth year. And I realized, I was like, what the hell? Less exciting, but more just the type of thing you typically see on Reddit is people talking about other teams' players and just absolutely shitting on them. There's a quote, and a specific quote that says, "Mahomes is the most overrated player in NFL history." Just insane. Someone said Rashawn Gary is a complete bum. And also soft. And then someone on this very podcast said, there was talk of
this very podcast.
Yeah, not on it right now. That said, there was a post about Matt Judon potentially the Lions trading for him, and he said, "Hell no, no Patriots." So we got some crackhead fans out there, but most of the fun stuff this week is just about unzipping your pants and enjoying a good one while thinking about Jack Campbell.
So what you just listened to was the first Lions Main podcast episode. If you don't already, give us a follow on X to participate in the community's discussions, and also subscribe on our website, www.lionsmainpodcast.com, to receive notifications on our most recent posts. As always, you can find us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Cheers.